Hello and welcome to the sewing studio. Today I'm going to show you how you can use up all those little scraps when you've made a quilt. I recently made a quilt for my cousin and it was all green and I was left with lots of random shaped pieces of greens. So I'm going to show you how you can make another piece of fabric using all of these. So I've made a couple of little pieces here to show you. And this method is called stitch and flip, and you can see that these are sort of random shapes, and then when you trim them down you could turn these into something like a little needle case or even sew that up and you could have that as a little pouch to put lipstick in. So it's whatever you want to do, but we waste nothing. So I'm going to show you how I do this. So I've just got a random piece of wadding here. And then I'm going to go over to the machine and I'm going to start adding these pieces until I have something that looks like this. So I've placed a piece of the green fabric onto my wadding and I've just taken another random scrap and I've just laid it over the top, and I'm going to sew those two together. So then I'm going to flip that piece over that I have just sewn on, and then I'm going to get another piece of fabric and I'm going to go at a random angle. So I can go across here like this. So as long as I'm going across like that, I'm hiding all those raw edges. I'm going to flip that across like that. So my next piece, you can see that I've got this dip here. I'm going to have to put a piece that goes across to hide that dip, and then I'm going to cut this back. I'll show you what I mean. I get a longer piece like this and I lay that over there, so I'm hiding that dip. Now, some people call this a scrappy patchwork, some people call it crazy patchwork. I think it's very liberating. So you just cut off the excess. It's like breaking all the rules here, but you're using all your scraps. So I'm just going to cut the excess off there. And then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to put another piece on. And you can see the same thing has happened here. We've got a bit of a dip. So I'm going to find a longer strip of fabric and I'm going to come across that to hide that dip. I'm going to just snip that away. You don't have to do this, but if you snip it away, it does get rid of some of the bulk. You can just flip it over, like here, for example. You can see that on this camera, you can just flip it over because it's only going to be a bag or a purse or something. It doesn't matter if you've got that little bit of extra bulk behind. The other thing you can do is you can snip it off here if you want to. There's no rules with this. This is what I love about it. It's so liberating. I'm also keeping all these tiny pieces here because I'm going to do a postcard with these, and I'm going to need all of these for my background, which is grass. So I'm going to keep all of those, and in a future video I'll show you how to put all those together to make a background scene. So I'm going to flip that over. I'm probably going to cut this bit off here. We'll keep that bit. I found a bigger piece here, so I'm just going to go across at this angle. I'm going to flip that back, and as you can see I've gone over the edge of my wadding, but that doesn't matter because I'm going to come back to that later on and I'm going to trim that all up. So because I've got a dip here, I'm going to go across from here. I'm going to flip that over. And again, you can see I've come off the end of the wadding, but that doesn't matter. So I'm just going to keep going and I'm going to build that up. And already you can see how that's forming different shapes. So we're going to go over to look at the piece that I've already prepared. So here's the one that I've already prepared, and you can see that I've got all these raw edges come off the ends, and that doesn't matter. So with the one that I've just started, I would just keep going with that until it looked like this. And when you start off, you just have the piece of wadding, the size that you want, or roughly the size that you want your finished piece to be. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to trim this up. So I'm going to turn it over so I can roughly see where the edge of my wadding is. And I'm just going to give it a trim up. Might even keep some of those pieces because they might be small enough for my little postcard project. And so you can see once it's been trimmed up, it just looks so much neater. So you could either have that as a book cover, or you could have that as a bag. So imagine if you put your lining in it and then you folded that up and then you folded that down and you put a little popper on it, you've got a little bag or a purse. So there's lots of things you can do with this fabric. And this, as I say, these were all scraps, very small pieces left over from a quilt. So it's great that you can use them to make other things. So we've got a video coming up in the future where Jeanette's going to show me how to put a zip in a little bag. So I'm just going to give you a little teaser that I've started to make myself a piece of fabric with this gorgeous pink. And I've got a top bit and Jeanette's going to show me how to put a zip in it. So that's a future video coming up. So make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss any of our videos. I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. And don't forget, it's a really great fun way for using up all your little scraps and all your pieces, and you can make it multicoloured. It doesn't have to be all the same colour. It can be whatever you want it to be. So make it your own, have fun, and I look forward to seeing you next time here in the Sewing Studio.